as of right now, this is probably the closest you're going to get to understanding what it is for a 304 to make healthy decisions every day and therefore live a healthy lifestyle.
Bitch, you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk, but wanna win his reward. Some suckers give you points, but bitch, you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping, then bitch, you getting ignored. Okay, I'm so sick of these.
Big part of the reason why health isn't something that's like heavily discussed in the game is because a lot of unhealthy decisions are promoted and glamorized in the game. I'll go as far as to say most of the decisions that people know of are promoted and glamorized and unhealthy when it comes to this game, right? Like, you know, most of us in the game, we have a certain idea of what fun is, pleasure is, treating yourself is. You know, most of us in the game have a certain, when you think of pleasure, when you think of treating yourself, when you think of having fun as a participant in the game, most of us have a similar outlook and picture in our minds of what that's supposed to be. And a lot of it is based on what we see coming into the game. When we see coming into the game, you know, just imagine you fresh in the game, right? You a young lady, you a 304, you're a fresh turnout, you just getting your feet wet in the game. And you seeing other 304s that's down and around and you learning about their lifestyle, you learning how they live. Or you might choose a certain household and you seeing certain wifeys that's successful, they've been down before you, and you seeing how they live, right? And whether it's a wifey in your household or it's other 304s down and around, you seeing them doing their thing. They got the designer bags, they got the foreign luxury whip, you know, they got the luxury condo or whatever. They got all the designer clothes, you name it, whatever a young lady could want out the game. As you being a fresh turnout in the game, it looks like they got it. And so you see all of this. And then at the same time that you see all of this, you might see how they maneuver, how they deal with tricks, how they talk to tricks, you know, and some of them got real good charisma. Some of them got real good mouthpiece, and they just know the right things to say and do to break a trick. Like, not just accept whatever a trick feel like giving them, but break a trick. And then at the same time that you seeing all of this, you seeing these young ladies' idea of what pleasure is to them. You're seeing what fun is to them. You're seeing what treating themselves is to them. And then you start to see a lot of alcohol. You start to see a lot of drugs, right? And you start to see an overindulgence of these things. And because you're seeing this along with the perception of success, what you think is success, you start to think that all of this is a part of the game. All of this is supposed to be a part of the game. You know, when you're a young 304 and you know, doing what you're supposed to do on the business side, you handling your business and you running it up and you handing it over to the right folks and you just doing everything that you're supposed to do. You should be able to treat yourself to some powder. You should be able to treat yourself to some pills. You should be able to take a bottle of Douce to the neck, to the face. You dig? Because this is what you see coming into the game. So you develop this understanding in a formative point in your career as a 304, right? And so this scenario that I just described applies to the majority of chicks in the game. It's just the truth. Whether you, again, like I say, you choosing a household that got wifeys that was there before you doing a thing, or you come into the game through some friends of yours that, you know, you might not understand the difference, but in actuality are renegades. But whether it's renegades or some chicks a part of the household that you choosing or whatever the case may be, whether you coming into the strip club and you seeing all the girls in the strip club, how they maneuver, how they do their thing, just about everywhere you go, every avenue of the game, this is what you're going to see. Now, you might hear different people in the game talk about, oh, them bitches on the track, they ain't shit. Or, oh, them bitches in the strip club, they ain't real 304s. Or, you know, you hear people that do it this way criticize the people that do it that way all across the board. The people on the blade criticize the people on the internet. The internet people criticize everybody. The people that play the casinos and bars and resorts and things of that nature, the carpet, you know, they down talk to people on the blade. But one thing they all got in common, though, is they all on drugs and they all on alcohol. The majority of them, they on something. Either they on alcohol or they smoke too much weed to where they're not functional, or they doing, you know, the hardcore drugs. Some people call them designer drugs to make themselves feel better, but it's really the hardcore shit. Anything that can unalive you is hardcore as far as I'm concerned. So I call that the hardcore shit. But they all doing that shit. Bitches on the blade, they drink, they overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches in the in-calls playing the internet, they overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches in the strip club is for sure overindulging in drugs and alcohol. Bitches that play the carpet, casinos, you know, bars and shit like that, they all overindulging in drugs and alcohol. That's something that's synonymous with all avenues of the game. Whatever part of the game that you come in through, this is what you're going to see. The majority of. I'll go as far as to say 99% of. It's probably 1% of chicks in the game that's not, you know, overindulging in these things. Right? And so, like I said, it's by design for you to fail, because these choices that you see these chicks, your fellow 304s making on a daily basis, are unhealthy choices. These choices end up with a lot of these chicks losing their lives at a very young age. These choices end up with a lot of chicks, you know, probably making some irrational decision that's going to land them in prison for a long time. And, you know, some of these choices that you see these chicks making on a daily basis land them in the streets, you know, strung out on drugs and, you know, just fucked up. Right. And then, you know, just adding to that, you know, another unhealthy choice is, you know, that what doesn't make it any better is a lot of these tricks overindulge in drugs and alcohol. And that's how a lot of ladies in the game get involved in that shit. If they don't get involved if they don't get involved with it through their folks, they get involved with it through a wifey or a quote unquote hoe partner, HP. And if they don't get involved with it through that, they get involved with it through a trick. Right? It's like everywhere you look and everywhere you turn, this shit is being pushed into your face as a young lady in the game. Right? So it's sad because you have some chicks that come into the game pure. They come into the game having never touched drugs or alcohol or tobacco or any of that, right? But when they come into the game and everywhere they look, everywhere they turn, they folks is drinking and getting high. They wifeys is drinking and getting high. All the bitches that they see on the blade is drinking and getting high. Every trick they do a date with is drinking and getting high. They start to think like, damn, is it even possible for me to function in this game, to maneuver and thrive in this game without being under the influence of drugs and alcohol? And so, you know, my answer to you, flat point blank is yes, of course you can, right?
Let's go. You see, the God anointed game appointed PI since knee high. Knew that God appointed me to be fly. My reply to the blessing, only one decision for me, man, that integrated and demonstrated it's obligatory. Okay. So begins the story. These blessings I'm not in tune with.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
Baby,